Well, hello and welcome to another random video. And yes, today's video is once again Minidisc related. So, as you may or may not know, one of the main reasons why I even got interested in Minidisc was the movie Strange Days, in which Minidiscs were used to record everything that you've experienced directly from your brain, including everything you see and hear and also everything that you feel, so that you can play it back later on directly into your brain and kind of relive the same moment over and over again. And yeah, in this movie there is this one really iconic scene where the main character, Lenny Nero, comes home and he sits on his bed and then he takes out a shoebox full of mini discs and then he pops one of those discs into his deck and then he just zones out. And ever since I first saw this movie and especially this scene, I wanted to have not only mini discs but also the same kind of device that he has been using in this movie, because I really like this design. But unfortunately, this isn't a real existing Minidisc device. It's just a prop made specifically for the movie. So yeah, but I managed to find another Minidisc device, which is, in my opinion, the closest that you can get to a Strange Days type of Minidisc device, and it's this one right here. Yes, this is the Marantz PMD 650, the PMD 650, and it's a professional portable Minidisc recorder, and it's really exactly what I always wanted. You know, something between a Minidisc Walkman and a Minidisc DAC. I mean, it's kind of too big and bulky to be considered as a Minidisc Walkman, but it's also too small to be considered a full Minidisc DAC. So that's exactly what I wanted. And if you want to get this Minidisc recorder, you have to be somewhat careful not to pick the wrong one, because there is also the PMD 670, which looks pretty much identical to this one, but it's not a Minidisc recorder, it's a solid state recorder. So I just wanted to tell you that. And yeah, I got this thing and I'm really happy that I got it. So what do we have right here? We have headphone jack with volume control, display which is also backlit, display button so we can change the different display modes, light for the display, rec pause, record, key lock, volume control, kind of like the record volume for left and right channel. Right here we have phantom on and off, which adds another 48 volts. Then XLR, analog line in, for microphone or normal analog line in if you have RCA to XLR adapters. Then we have a coax connector for some kind of a wired remote control. And we also have a coax digital line in. Unfortunately, no optical line in. And this is the connector where you connect the holder for the strap. Then at the bottom there's the battery compartment. So it uses those kinds of batteries. There is also adapters where you have just the case and then you put in a few normal AA batteries. And on the other side we have the power input, DC 13 volts, a little light, so kind of like a charge indicator, RCA analog line out, and XLR digital line out. And then we can also turn the digital output on and off, apparently. So yeah, what else has this thing got? Yeah, it has a backlit display. It has a built-in speaker, which is, well, it's good enough for voice, but definitely not good enough for music or something like this. And it also has a built-in microphone, which is somewhat stupid because if you record something through the built-in microphone, it also records all the noise of the mechanics of the Minidisc drive, which is kind of annoying. It sounds like this. So yeah, that's pretty darn annoying. And yeah, this little volume control, it controls the volume for the integrated speaker, but if you have a headphone plugged in, the integrated speaker is automatically turned off, and then the volume control controls the volume of the headphone output. This thing also has a built-in sampling rate converter. So Minidisc is always using a sampling rate or a quality of 44.1 kilohertz, but you can also use a digital source that is either 32 kilohertz or 48 kilohertz, and you can also route the signal through so that what comes out is uncompressed out of the digital line out, and you can turn the sampling rate converter on and off. So if you want to record something maybe from a DAT that has been recorded with 48 kilohertz, you go in the digital line in with 48 kilohertz, and if the frequency converter is turned off, what comes out is also 48 kilohertz. If it's turned on, what comes out is 44.1 kilohertz. But no matter what, if the sampling rate converter is turned on or off, what is being recorded on the disc is of course always 44.1 kilohertz. And this thing also has a built-in 16 megabyte buffer for recording and playback. So if you have vibrations or something like that, you have this buffer which functions as a 20-second buffer. And if it's recorded in mono, or if you record something in mono, it becomes a 40-second buffer, because of course in mono you don't need this much space. So now let's take a closer look at the device itself. So here we got the device itself. Power button, so we can turn it on and off, but I think it also turns off automatically after 5 minutes without doing anything. Eject, so it pops open very quickly, so I always like to hold it down, because when I first got this device there were 2 screws missing right here. I assume they got loose and just flew away when the previous owner was opening it. And because strange days, let's use the same Minidisc as in the movie. Pop it in like this, and I also like the little window so that we can see the disc spinning. So then here we have the various different options. So we can of course change between SP and LP mode. LP is just standard mono recording, which doubles the recording time of the Minidisc. Then microphone, we can change between 0, -15 decibel and 30 decibel. This is ANC, which is the ambient noise control. So if we have it set to this, it kind of works like an equalizer. So here it lowers the lower and higher frequencies flat is just normal flat, and this one lowers the lower frequencies. So if there is a rumble or a hum or something like this, it is being changed or filtered out or lowered or whatever. Then here we have input selection. We can change between analog and digital line in. Input level, so we can change between microphone or line in, because you can also connect normal RCA cables right here if you have an RCA to XLR adapter, so it needs to know if it's a microphone or a line in. And then we have the source, so here we can change if we want to record in stereo from both XLR connections, or if we want to record in mono. And if we record in mono, it means that it only records from the left channel. The manual says that the right channel is still somewhat audible, I believe minus 15 decibel or 15 decibel lower than the left channel. Or we can also record from the integrated microphone. Then we have this one right here. This is only for playback. It's some kind of a monitor mode, so to say, so we can listen to the recording and we can listen to stereo or just the left channel or just the right channel. But this only works with the built-in speaker or the headphones. It doesn't work with the analog RCA line out or the digital XLR line out. It really only works with the integrated speaker and the headphone output. Limiter, of course, we can set it to normal, which means we manually set the rack volume with this knob. Automatic does it automatically, limiter, something like that. LSR, live sync rack, if it's turned off, it just records in one go if we record from analog line in. If it's turned on, it automatically sets a track mark. And when it's supposed to set a track mark, that's something that we can change in the presets. Then we also have the normal buttons right here. Repeat the same song or the entire disc. We can also create some kind of an A-B loop. We can title tracks or the disc. Character, we can change the characters. Enter. The edit button, fast forward, rewind, skip, play, pause, stop, and backspace. So what backspace does, if let's say we already have 2 songs recorded or 2 recordings on our disc, and then we start a third one, but we don't want the third one, you know, let's say after 5 minutes we realize it's not really going so well, let's re-record that. So instead of pushing stop, we push backspace, which means it kind of erases the last recording and then it starts again at the beginning. So that's what backspace does. So yeah, that's the device from the top. Now let's take a look at the device from the front and the various different options. Okay, so here we got the front of the display, and I have the light turned on so that it stays on. So you have to push and hold the light button for 1 or 2 seconds and then it stays on. With the display button we can scroll through the various different display settings. Also we can see the track titles and disc title and the remaining time and all this kind of stuff. And by the way, no, this is not the title of the disc. If you have no disc title or no track title, then it shows you the current time and the current date. So this is January the 3rd right now. So yes, this thing also has a built-in clock. So when you record something onto a mini disc, it automatically also records some kind of a timestamp. and some Minidisc devices enable you to show this timestamp so that you can see when the recording was done. And by the way, before I forget, this device is using 8-track version 4.0. I don't know why minidisc.org says that it's 4.5, but all the technical specs, they always say it's 4.0. So to get to the preset menu, we have to push edit until it says preset. And by the way, for some reason this also only works if there is a mini disc inside. If there is no disc inside, we don't get to the preset option. Then we push enter. So the first one is alarm on and off. This is the battery alarm, so there will be a beeping sound before the device turns off, and also some kind of a beeping sound if the battery is running low, so that you are not surprised if the battery turns off. Then we can change that with fast forward and rewind. And if we want to get to the next option, we just push the play button. So the next option is live sync rack. So this is the decibel. So if I record something from an analog source, I can determine when a track mark is supposed to be set. So right now I have it set to minus 40 decibel. So the volume needs to be below minus 40 decibel so that it can automatically set a track mark. And in the next option I can set the time, how long it needs to be below minus 40 decibel before it sets a track mark. So right now it's set to 3 seconds. So if it's only 1 second or 2 seconds below minus 40 decibel, it doesn't set a track mark. And I can change this time right here. Then track number. This means if a track mark is being set, if it's turned on, it automatically gives the track a new number. So track 1, track 2, track 3 and whatsoever. And if I don't do that, it's just going to be a new track, but it has no number. Then pre-rack. Like I said, this thing has a built-in buffer and also a recording buffer. So right now it's set to, I believe it's 2 seconds. So it records 2 seconds inside this buffer. So if I start the recording, there won't be any delay of recording, so to say. Then I can change the time mode, 24 hours and 12 hours. I can change the way it's being shown, day, month and year. And because I want the battery to be as accurate as possible, I can also change what kind of a battery I am using. So I can change between these two options. And this is the sampling rate converter, on and off. So if it's turned off, if I go into the digital line in with a sampling rate of 48 kilohertz, the signal that is coming out of the digital line out is also going to be 48 kilohertz, even though the recording on the disc is still going to be 44.1 kilohertz. But yeah, I can also use this thing as a sampling rate converter if I want to. So here I can turn the sampling rate converter on and off. Yeah, SCMS, this is the copy protection. Yeah, I can also copy protect my recordings. So I can turn copy protection on and off. Also a pretty neat little feature. And then that's it. And like every Minidisc device you also have the typical Minidisc options: divide, combine, move tracks around, erase all, erase one track or erase all. And we can also, of course, set the time. This is clock set. Yeah, and if we want to title something, we can do it like that. And we push enter to get to the next. We can change the characters. So all this kind of stuff, like on every other Minidisc device. So yeah, that's it. I hope I haven't forgot anything. Thanks for watching, and I see you in the next random video. Bye!